do you use React? Yes, no. Only use JavaScript? TypeScript, in my opinion, is now pretty much the default. UX of ice cream in Japan is very good.
You decided to make like a state-of-s.
Pick one thing and do it for 10 years.
Are you monetizing it?
You can choose your class like an RPG, you know?
All right, we're here live from JSNation from Amsterdam and with a beautiful weather, and alongside with me is Sacha Grief. Hey Sacha.
Hey.
It's so nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Is it your first time in Amsterdam?
No, it's my third time this year actually.
Third time?
Yeah.
But you're lucky because, you know, in the past 10 days, it was really not so good weather today, and tomorrow it's very sunny. So yeah, are you enjoying the event so far, the weather, Amsterdam?
Yeah, I love the city.
Yeah, for the people who might not know, do you mind if you give us an idea who you are, what you're doing?
Sure. So my name is Sacha Grief. I guess my main thing these days is I run developer surveys. So these are open surveys that anybody can take, and they run every year. And there's one about JavaScript, one about CSS, one about AI, so a bunch of topics. And then I process all that data and I publish the results to help people keep up with trends, keep up with new CSS features, new JavaScript libraries, and so on. You know, I've done other things before. I've done some design work, I wrote some books, but these days, this is my main focus.
That's awesome. But are you monetizing it? Or?
Yeah, so I rely on some very generous sponsors.
Oh, nice.
And maybe you want to sponsor the survey, get in touch.
That's great.
But yeah, I'm lucky enough that this enables me to kind of focus on that project without worrying too much about charging for the results or monetizing it directly, although we do sell those very nice t-shirts.
That's a nice one. Yeah, it's pretty nice, very nice. If we can step back a little bit and ask, what makes you come with the idea of having these surveys in the first place?
Around 2016, I think that's when I did the first edition of the State of JS survey. At the time, I was very involved with a framework called Meteor.js.
Of course.
And the huge selling point of Meteor.js was that it was an all-in-one framework, right? So you had the front end, the back end, the data layer, the database, everything was packaged together, which on one hand was really awesome in terms of productivity and learning curve. But the big issue is once I wanted to step out from that ecosystem, I was very confused by the state of JavaScript outside of Meteor.js. I wasn't sure which front-end framework to use, how to manage state, what to do on the back end. And so that gave me the idea for the first ever State of JS survey, first of all as a way of myself figuring out where to invest my time, but also I figured if I have that issue, others probably are struggling with that as well, so why not make it like a publicly available resource?
Yeah. I remember these days when Meteor and also Mini-Stack and Murni-Stack and everyone was doing their thing in their way. So yeah, it was awesome as well to eliminate the feeling of FOMO that maybe Meteor is the right way. Why I'm doing mean, right? Yeah. That's a very nice argument. But wow, nine years.
Yeah.
It's been 9 years.
Yeah.
What do you think motivates or what is the incentive for developers to fill these surveys for 9 years? And also, you know, it's relatively big. I fill it multiple times. So what do you think that makes people take the time to fill it?
You know, I don't know. I can't speak for people who fill it out, but I think there are a couple benefits. One of them is that by filling it out, you can actually learn about new things. You can be exposed to new CSS features, new JavaScript libraries. There's actually a feature called a reading list in the surveys where you can add items, or you can bookmark items as you take the survey. And at the end, you get links about these items. So if you want to learn about whatever.
It's like notify me or something.
Yeah. Actually, you can even get it by email. So you can get a recap of all the things you wanted to learn more about. And that's only when taking the survey. But after you're done, you will get the results. I mean, when the results are published, rather, you can figure out what the upcoming trends are. And also the results themselves can point you towards other resources like MDN or YouTube videos that might be relevant to
pretty useful. Yeah.
Different features. So I think overall, and one more benefit is that the data that is collected through the surveys is one thing that browser vendors will look at to kind of figure out their roadmap and which areas to prioritize. So if, for example, you say in the survey that, hey, there's this anchor positioning feature that I really want to use, but it's not supported in whatever, in Chrome or Safari or Firefox, those teams might see that and in turn focus more on that as a result. Of course, it's, there's other things they consider as well, but the surveys are one of those data points that they take into account.
Yeah, that's great. So do you think you see already that some libraries or authors or maybe vendors are contacting you or getting this information to build decisions based on that?
Yeah, so I'm actually working closely with the Chrome team,
Nice.
Also people from Edge, and then even talking about open source maintainers. I know, for example, the Storybook maintainers check out the survey and also the comments, because the survey offers the option to leave comments on each question. So not only can you answer a question like, do you use React, yes, no, but you can add a free-form comment to give even more context to your answer. The React team or Vue team or whoever can then have that as an additional source of data or context for those trends and those data points.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's really fantastic. I bet you were not the first one who came with surveys, but you are the only one who's lasting for a long time. So what do you think the quality of a survey would be? Is it the quality of the question, the number of people, the demography? What makes surveys valuable?
Well, I think one big distinction between me and almost every other surveys is I'm the only person who only does a survey, right? So you have Stack Overflow and they have a huge survey with a much larger reach, but Stack Overflow is not a survey company, right? They have a real business, and the survey is more like marketing or something additional for them. And so I think there are limits to what they can do because they might not want to hurt their business by asking some questions, or maybe they don't have the resources or the focus to push things too far. Whereas I, on the other hand, that's all I do, and as a result, the entire stack is custom, so I'm not relying on like SurveyMonkey or Typeform or whatever. It's like a custom built app when you fill out the surveys, which is how we can add the reading list, for example. When you look at the
translations as well,
yeah. When you look at the results, that's also custom. Even the charts are custom. So we can add things where you click on an item in the chart and you get links to learn more about that item. It's not like a static, whatever canvas thing where you can't really change it. And so I think all those different items, they can add up together, and the result is you have like an experience that's maybe different from the rest.
Yeah, but it differs as well with the number of people who participate. It gives you a little bit more accurate or close to accurate how people are going in the direction with the ecosystem, right?
It's not the largest survey. I know that Stack Overflow, for example, does have larger numbers. But I think in aggregate, if you add up all the surveys, you do end up with a pretty large user base. So it will be anywhere for maybe around 5,000 for the smaller surveys to 10 or even 20,000 respondents for the largest ones. And I think over time, it does add up, and hopefully it makes the data relatively reliable. For the ecosystem.
Yeah, cool. So you're running multiple ones, as you said, JavaScript, state of CSS, state of HTML, a state of AI, I have seen recently, and a state of devs that you revealed today, right? If we think hypothetically, if you decided to make like a state of state-offs, what would be the common thing that is that you can notice between all the statistics that you're excluding from all of them? So what do you think, if you think about doing that?
Well, today I had just gave a talk here at JSNation, and one thing I mentioned is that some job titles are correlated with higher income levels, especially engineer, and that's pretty constant across all surveys. Things like income, years of experience. Generally speaking, the demographics factors will remain pretty constant. Of course, that's also because we tend to notify the same people or email list about all surveys, so there will be some overlap between the different surveys. But yeah, even without that, I think there are a lot of factors that are pretty constant.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just if you jump to your talk today, your talk is titled The State of Web, right? If we think about, if you summarize it or give like, the takeaways that you wish people are walking away with it, what would it be?
My takeaways over the past couple years were one, that in terms of browser features, in terms of especially new CSS features, we often have this idea that you can't really use them because they're too new, they're not supported. But the reality is browser support has become very good for a lot of these new features. I still see people think that you can't use Flexbox or Grid because it's too new, whereas those are like, I don't know, 10 years old. So you can definitely use those, and even newer things like the has selector, aspect ratio, you can really start using those things now.
People are not checking constantly, they keep adding this polyfills or something, and they don't know that it's supported.
Exactly, yeah. So there's the baseline indicator that lets you know which features are safe to use. That's very useful. And then another takeaway I talked about in that talk was the fact that TypeScript, in my opinion, is now pretty much the default. In our data, we see more people who only use TypeScript and nothing else. You have very few people who only use JavaScript, maybe less than 10%, and then around 50-60% who only use TypeScript. If you're still on the fence, should I learn it or not? I think the answer is definitely yes. I know it took me a long time to get started, but I'm glad I did. Another takeaway I had was concerning AI. I think there's a lot of hype around AI, and some of it is deserved, but I do think like vibe coding is kind of a trend that might not stick around forever, I think. I might be wrong about that, but at least for now, very few people are actually coding their entire apps just using prompts. The vast majority of developers still type a lot of their code by hand. So that's what the data shows.
Yeah, that's a pretty good segue for my next question, because I would like to ask you about AI. What do you think it will change in the mentality of developers as well? And do you think that this is going to be better or a worse learning curve for new joiners for being a developer?
So for me, the risk is that I think experienced developers can use AI with no problem. Like I don't have any issue with that. Whether you generate your entire app with AI and then you have to review the code, hopefully, if you want to do that, sure. Or if you just want to use AI more sporadically and generate specific helper functions, classes, CSS classes, components, that's what I do. That's fine. I think the problem is for newer entrants in the profession, because the temptation will be to generate everything using AI, and they might not even have a choice, right? Their boss might be like, hey, you have 3 days to code this front end. You have 2 hours to code this dashboard, and they will have to use AI. And I don't think they will learn as well as we did when we had to do it by hand.
Yes.
And I think the problem is then they will kind of cut off that generation at the knees, right? And they will not be able to progress and become a senior developer, have these more senior positions. And in turn, when the current senior developers move on to something else, there will be maybe a void where all the junior developers kind of haven't had a chance to acquire those skills. So I think that might be a problem a couple years from now. Hopefully I'm wrong and it's not, but I would suggest, if you can, do find the time to properly learn to code the fundamentals, and then you can add AI on top of that.
Yeah, that's fair. I share the same thing with you. However, thinking about the state of web that you run, did you find any people panicking about AI is taking our job or something?
No, I specifically asked about that. Are people worried about AI coming for their jobs? And the majority of respondents were not worried. So.
Well, because the majority, I think, are seniors. Because
maybe.
New joiners, I think, they are thinking that, okay, this is still worth to get into this field or not anymore. All right, if we jump to the other state of AI that you run recently as well, did you find anything surprise to you, that something that people are using the most, or something that you thought that they are using most, but they are not, or something like that in AI?
One data point I highlight in the State of AI survey is how many tools in each category people are using. So, categories being general models like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and so on. Another one was IDEs like Cursor, Windsurf. You had also code generating services like V0 by Vercel and Bolt. And so anyway, while, as you might expect, a lot of people are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and the majority of people have used probably 2 or 3 of these services. For the other categories, most people had actually not really tried that many. So either 0 or 1 maybe.
Oh,
So,
surprise.
yeah, what it means in other words is that you have this core of AI tools that are mainstream now, which is ChatGPT. But anything else, the more specialized tools that target developers, they have not, I think, breached the mainstream population yet. So I don't know if they will, presumably I think so, but at least currently they are still a bit niche and limited to people who are kind of at the cutting edge of AI, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe ChatGPT is taking the word for the people who are not non-techies, because it takes its fame from this chat. But for the tech people, I think they are not really using ChatGPT for coding that much, at least yet. Mostly, as you said, it's Claude and it's Cursor or Windsurf or other tools. In a world that AI is ruling, we still see a lot of people here today in the conference are attending. Do you think in the world of this online content and everyone is staying home and maybe ask AI to do something for them, with this number of people, do you think this will be affected in the upcoming years as well? And is it beneficial to attend these kind of events like JSNation in person? What's the beneficial of that instead of attending or watching the talks later on YouTube or online?
If you take the argument to the extreme and we're in a world where AI does our job for us, I think these events might actually have even more value because you can connect with other people and maybe you can, if everybody is generating their code using AI, well, the difference becomes your network, I guess, who you know. That's how you get a better job, right? Because everybody is coding the same. So who knows? It might be, I don't know if it's going to be good or bad if we do end up in that future, but I think events like this one hopefully will stick around and people will keep coming.
And you see the benefit from it is just for building networking connections.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing AI definitely can't do for you, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Although
so.
Who knows? We'll see.
And also talking in person to speakers like yourself and other people that we can ask you specifically about something that we noticed or give you some feedback. So yeah, that's definitely something that is very useful. Talking about still the community, what makes building a good community of developers around surveys in your case or other communities as well? What is the vital things that anyone who would like to build a community should focus on?
Well, that's a tough question. I think building a community is pretty hard, but you need a core idea, I guess, at the center of it. Whether it's a person, streamers have their own community. It could be an open source project. It could be the idea of running surveys. But I would say have a strong core idea. Even if you have no idea, then I guess by default it's you. Then put yourself forward, have a strong identity online. And then if you are building a community around, let's say, a local meetup, my roots are in design, so I really believe in branding, putting an effort to define your identity, like I said. So I would definitely invest in that. But yeah, you have to know from the start that it's not going to be an easy thing to do, because not only is it hard to build a community, but once you manage to do it, then you have all the challenges that come with that, making sure to be inclusive, involve the people. Some people might not want to be involved. They might stay very passive. So you have to ask yourself, okay, how can I make them want to join in more? Am I, giving everybody an equal chance to be a member of the community? Yeah, it's tough, and it's definitely a challenge. I've had moments of my career where I was more focused on community building. But for example, for the surveys, obviously, there's the community in the passive sense of the people who will look at the survey or take the surveys, but there's also a smaller community of the maintainers, the translators, and so on, who really help make the surveys what they are. And that's also something that I care about a lot, although, I wish I had more time to focus on that aspect, because you can always do better, and you can always, do a better job of rewarding people, I guess, for being part of a community.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, indeed. I think I would add to what you said. One part that we will learn from what you're doing as well is continuity or consistency, because it's been, wow, man, 9 years you're doing that. That's quite a lot. And I hope this will last forever, because it's very useful, and especially for us, for the FOMO that, all right, everyone is feeling that AI is taking over the world. Watching the survey results, I feel, okay, I think we are all on the same page. Everyone knows or understands the same way as I am doing. So I feel calmed down a little bit. So that's pretty useful.
I think if you can, whatever it is, pick one thing and do it for 10 years, and that's going to be valuable.
Yes, exactly. And you'll be the expert in it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just stepping away a little bit from technicality and the surveys, if you're based in Japan, right?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, nice. That's a cool. How is living here?
Oh, Japan is great. I really love the country. I've been there for, I think, 13 years now.
Wow. If you can tell us something about Japan that nobody knows.
That's hard because, people know most things about Japan. I would say one thing people don't know is Japan has some of the best supermarket ice cream.
Oh, really? You made it on the spot?
No, I mean, just if you go buy ice cream in the convenience store or supermarket, they have a lot of different types, not even just flavors, but just shapes.
Okay.
They have ice cream that are specially made so you can break off one piece and share it. So from a UX point of view, the UX of ice cream in Japan is very good.
Yeah, with a person with a background of UX as well, you think about how you cut it in half, you eat it. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So what else are you doing in your life other than your career?
I like climbing. I'm into bouldering, which I think is very cliche because it's like all the tech people are doing bouldering in like Silicon Valley.
That's impressive for me because I'm not doing. I'm planning to, but I'm not doing.
Nice. Let's go together.
Yeah. We need to talk about that a little bit later.
Otherwise, I really enjoy DIY woodworking.
Yeah.
Not so much
woodworking.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's a really common thing because I do woodwork as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to talk more about me off the show.
Not so much doing it for me, but mostly watching YouTube videos.
That's a thing as well. You learn some stuff from watching. So yeah, that sounds great. All right. By the end, if I ask you for one thing that you would like to leave the people who are watching us with, just an advice or something in career or outside career, whatever you want, what would it be?
I would say there are two types of developers. You can choose your class like an RPG, You can be an early adopter who will, try out every new framework, try out every new feature, jump on all the trends. The benefit of that is you will get invited to speak at conferences. The downside is it takes a lot of time and you might suffer from, FOMO or stress. Or the other class you can pick is the guy or the girl who stays back and can wait a couple years before learning a new thing, and that's what I do. Like I said, it took me a while to learn TypeScript. It always takes me a while to update to the latest version of React. In fact, I've been using React for the last 10 years or whatever.
You prefer to fill the gaps instead of being ahead of people? Yeah,
so I prefer to let the other people figure out all the edge cases, the bugs, and all that. And also because I've been an early adopter for a part of my career, and I was like, okay, I've done that. Now let other people take all the risks, and I will jump on the new thing once it's not so new anymore. And I haven't suffered that many negative consequences for doing that. If there's something I need to know absolutely, I can still look into it, but my default position is going to be, okay, yeah, it's fine if I'm a bit behind the times. I don't care about it that much. And so because people who come at these conferences, they are exposed to so many new things, I think there's this risk that you feel like you have to know all of that, or maybe you feel guilty because you don't know it already. And so I would say it's okay, relax. I know things are moving fast, and I even say that in my talk, so it might seem a bit contradictory, but at the same time, it's not that fast. So if you have a couple of years of lag behind the latest cutting edge, that's okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice words that we can end this conversation with. Sasha, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks.